Today we are going to discuss a topic of talking to the dead or talking with the dead. And if we can talk with the dead, the first important implication is that not just that we can talk, but that they are surviving the death, which means if we can talk with the dead, that itself offers the proof that individuals are surviving death. Okay. And who talk to the dead? And usually on behalf of the living. The people who are intermediaries between the living and the dead are called mediums. Mediums. Mediums convey what the dead try to say to the living. These are called discarnates. Discarnates. What the discarnates say with the living. So mediums convey this. Mediums can be mental mediums or trance mediums. Mental mediums are those through which the discarnate convey with the living. Trance mediums are those discarnates enter the medium body and then they speak using the medium's body directly with the living. So of course the question is, you may be hearing these mediums. This is an age-old phenomenon. But how scientific is this? How scientific is this is an issue. And more importantly, how do you establish that this is scientific? I mean, how do you establish the evidence? What kind of evidence will you say is the proof that the mediums are saying, what mediums are claiming is true? Okay. It is something like this. Discarnates and the living. So you say you and your grandfather, who is no more alive, dead, and medium. So medium says, this is what your grandfather But how can you know that it is true? That is the issue. We will know that it is your grandfather when medium gives the data, pieces of data, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, pieces of data, which only you know. Your grandfather did this when you are 6 years old. Such kind of information is not available on internet, not written in any book. Okay. So, if grandfather is saying that this is what I did, says something that only you know, then it cannot be medium's creation. It must be grandfather. Or grandfather gives the details that even you don't know, but which can be verified. Okay. This is where I have hidden this. Or this is how my eye died, and you can verify my body is there. Okay. Which means science of mediumship can be established through these kinds of verification. If medium is only guessing things and saying things in general which most people think that are true, then that is not science. So, medium should say the things that only you know, and plus the medium is not getting the things from you, the things that only you know. That is another thing. And next, medium is giving the details which nobody knows, but they can be verified. So, if mediums are in a position to do this, then you can say there is life after death, and your grandfather in some form is very much alive, which means you can say the spirit is there. So, science of mediumship is about the verification of the data that the medium is giving. You cannot verify the data of the other side. You can only verify the data of this side from what you get to know from the other side. So, this side gives evidence of the other side. And we have no other kind of evidence, at least in medium studies. It can be mental medium or trance medium. So this is the kind of evidence. And if there is evidence, then one can think that it is indeed the discarnate or the spirit is talking about. Okay. So this is the nature of science related to mediumship. Okay. You are here, medium is here, grandfather. You call it the other side. Mediums use this word other side to refer to the people who crossed. It's called crossed. Death means crossing to the other side. Take it as a kind of a wall. But this wall doesn't represent any physical wall. Spirits are with us only in this particular side, in this particular geography. Grandfather. One issue here is you may be going to medium. You may be going to medium. That you say, I want to talk to my grandfather. So you are very clear. Medium wants to talk to grandfather. But how should medium identify grandfather? So how does medium establish the link? This is an issue. Because after all, there are so many people who are dead. So you do not know the exact address of your grandfather on the other side. So how should medium contact grandfather is an issue. So grandfather may be there, other side. But how do we know where he is? And how do you contact? We don't know the address. And here, some very, very important thing is happening. Very important thing is that, do you know, you need to contact medium, but it is found medium doesn't have to put any effort to contact grandfather. Grandfather comes to the medium. It is not like this, it is like this. Which means grandfather is watching you and medium. It is almost like this. Grandfather is trying to talk to you, but you are not able to receive him. So he notices that you are taking medium's help, and so he talks to medium and medium talks to you. It is like that. Which means medium doesn't have to worry about the address of grandfather. It is grandfather who will find out the address of the medium. This is how mediumship works. Grandfather, the moment grandfather notices that you are trying to reach him through medium, grandfather will come to the medium. Because grandfather is following this conversation, following this. Okay. So how does grandfather contact? Grandfather knows that there is a person who is in touch with you. So whatever he wants to say, grandfather can come. Of course, if he wants to. If he doesn't want, then however much you try, you may not reach him. So it is about the will of the spirits or discarnates that matters for this communication. Medium is like a telephone operator. Telephone operator. Medium doesn't have to know about you, doesn't have to know about grandfather. Medium only is a kind of a receiver and transmitter. That's all. Telephone doesn't know you. Telephone doesn't know the other side. So, medium is like a telephone. So, a good medium is the one who simply transmits the communication between you and the grandfather. And grandfather comes to this place. That's a two medium. So this is the mechanism. We don't know how grandfather comes to the medium. We only know how you go. That's all. And medium should give the details from the grandfather that provide an evidence that the medium is indeed talking to the grandfather. So this is about mediumship studies. And to avoid fraud, to avoid guessing, all kinds of controls are placed to make sure that medium doesn't know much about you and doesn't know much about grandfather who is dead. Doesn't know much or doesn't know anything. Only whether medium is a good telephone is the issue. Telephone shouldn't, to know whether it is a good telephone, telephone should not have independent knowledge of this side or the other side. Then only we know that its telephone is not generating the knowledge, but it is only transmitting the knowledge. So science of mediumship is developed to ensure that the medium is only a transmitter, or as the name says, it's only the medium of communication between the two. Okay. See, I am basing my lecture on this book, The Light Between Us, by Laura Lynn Jackson. The Light Between Us by Laura Lynn Jackson. Laura Lynn Jackson was tested and recommended by Leslie Kean, the author of Surviving Death. So the author here is surprised by Laura's abilities. So I thought that all the people thinking about afterlife are primarily intellectuals, except the mediums who are on a regular basis talking with the dead. So it is mediums who have a different kind of ability, whereas scientists and journalists are using their normal rational faculties, normal brains, but mediums are different. So I wanted to find out how a medium like Laura thinks about afterlife, and what does she know? What is it like talking with the dead? So what is her worldview? So it is with that interest I read this book. Okay. But what I understood from Laura's account is that in terms of theory, she really doesn't know much. or it is not just much, she really doesn't know any. She doesn't know really how life survives, what exactly happens after death, and how do spirits are like. She doesn't have any theory at all. So she is as ignorant as any other. But what does she have? She has certain faculties which normal people don't have. She has certain ESP facilities, ESP faculties. For example, she is clairvoyant. She can see things which are not visible to normal eyes. She is clairaudient. She can hear things which ears cannot reach. And then she also has capacity for telepathy, mind reading. So she has these faculties. And she found she has them. She discovered that she has them. She didn't really develop. She discovered, and she was confused. When she was 11 years old, she had a premonition that her grandfather would die, and he died. So she was scared to know how she got to know these things, though she was not in a position to stop the death or do anything about the death. So she was scared of her faculties. For considerable time she ignored, but over a period of time, some people have appreciated her, and finally she became a medium. While most of the time she was working as a teacher in a school. So she had a career and medium as parallel career. Okay. So she had these things. Sorry, these are called psychic abilities. So she had these psychic abilities. And while she was doing these psychic abilities, suddenly she realized from a different part of the brain, something else was coming. Discarnates. So things like this happen on one side of the brain, and things like this, discarnates talking, happens in a different side of the brain. So she found that she was not only psychic but also medium. Psychic is about this world, medium is about the other side. So Lara had both these faculties, which she discovered, first horrified, but later accepted and began to make use of them in positive ways. Okay. But how would she be scientifically tested? In this book, she gives her experience with one institute called Windbridge Institute for Applied Research in human potential. See, Windbridge Institute for Applied Research in Human Potential. This is primarily research institute manned by scientists who believe in higher potential of man. Do you remember I said that we are body plus spirits. We are not bodies alone. It is not that after death we become spirits. It is that after death we lose bodies and we retain spirits. It is like this. It means that spirit component is with us. What is that spirit component? ESP, non-local movement, all this. What seems to be happening in certain people is that they have such a brain, partly by birth or partly because of certain experiences, that they are amenable to some extrasensory perception. So even Laura says what she can do, so-called normal people also do. But of course she recognizes that for some reason her brain was working differently. Her brain was tested for QEEG, quantitative EEG. And in those tests it was found that she was asked to function normally. That's number one, normal, and psychic, number two, and third, medium. Okay, third as medium. They found that different areas of the brain are associated with these three types, and psychic is very clearly different from medium. Okay, so working as a medium means discarnates coming to talk. Psychic means trying to gather information in this world. And the researchers found that in her psychic or medium, when she is working as a psychic or medium, the brain that is not associated with the reasoning is more active. So according to Laura, we do most of the thinking and reasoning. We use, she says, we use frontal lobe, which is reasoning part. But in working as a medium, that frontal lobe is not active and other parts are active. Basically, she is allowing her brain to be used by others when she is working as a medium. So she lets her brain to be used, to be subjected to different forces. And all along she had been very, very sensitive. She senses the energy of the body, aura of the body. She sees people in terms of colors. So her perception itself was different. And in the beginning, when she meets a crowd, she was overwhelmed by that energy. She is drawn to positive energy. She is repelled by the negative energy. When so many people come, she is overwhelmed by so much of energy. It's like that. But what are we who are working at a normal level? I would say we are mostly ignorant, thick-skinned. We are completely occupied by our own thoughts. We are not sensitive. We are full of our own thoughts. Whereas she is sensitive, receptive to forces which are working beyond these senses. That is what extrasensory perception and mediumship is all about. Okay. Now, let us see how she was tested by this institute. The testing procedure also tells us something about how actually the medium works. For example, she is given in one test, this is called sitter absent test, sitter absent reading, this is called reading. Sitter is the person who wants to talk to the other side. So you, grandfather, you are the sitter. So in a sitter absent reading is one level of test. So this woman is given name, that is, suddenly she is told, Lara, you have to contact Mary. That's all. Mary is on that side. That's all. Nothing. Then Lara will go sit in a room, close, and then she finds Mary is with her. And Mary gives all the details. That is, who asked for Mary? That is relationship. Remember, Lara doesn't know the sitter. It is Mary on the other side, or the one who is dead, discarnate, is giving her relationship with the sitter. And height, eye color, hair, age, and when died, how, hobbies. Okay. And children. All these details Mary should give, and Mary gave. And Lara says, okay, this is what Mary told me. That's all. So do you see? It is the responsibility of the Mary to come to Lara. Lara simply sits quietly. That is one test. Next, in the second test, which is called sitter present test. Sitter present reading. Okay. Now, Mary tells certain things, and the sitter has to simply say yes, no, no idea, or not relevant, plus, minus, or neutral. So, facilitating a conversation. Lara doesn't know the details of the sitter. It is just that the sitter is there on a phone on this side, that's all. So definitely this is a controlled observation of whether the mediumship is really true or not. And it is found in the second test, sitter present reading, Lara is subjected to this kind of test with two sitters, and the details that Lara gave are 90% accurate in the case of one sitter and 95% accurate in the case of another sitter. Amazing results. So after this kind of test, she is called certified medium. Certified medium. Okay. And Lara says she was one of the 19 certified mediums by this Windbridge Institute. So, this is how claims of medium are subjected to very close scrutiny. This is nothing but science. Okay. So next we will see what kind of conversations that Lara had, or what kind of interactions that Lara had with the dead. See, this book gives her experiences with people from all walks of life, including professors, scientists, children, skeptics, and animal lovers. Okay. So I got an idea of how she is working on a normal basis. So it appears she is like this, and her brain normally shuts off a part. When she is doing daily course, when she is doing teaching and other things. But when she wants to read, then this is opened up, and spirits all around. It is like that. For example, her principal gets to know that she is a psychic, and when Lara is talking to the principal's dead husband came, and Lara talked about her husband. So it is like that. When the doctor is conducting a test, and Lara noticed that doctor's relative is coming, so Lara tells, this is what your person wants. It is like that. So whomever she wants to read, the concerned discarnates use her brain. That's what it is. Amazing. And sometimes she talks to the spirits on a group basis. In one event organized by Family for Our Foundation, which also certified Lara as a medium, parents of children who recently died gathered. So parents sitting in a hall, and Lara is here, and Lara has to address grieving parents. So how would she address? So she found that so many children are here with her, and each child wants to tell a story to Lara, and that story to be conveyed to a concerned parent here. Look at this. So she narrates, one student comes up, one child comes up, and Lara says, okay, this is it, gives the data. Okay. So usually most of the details are about confirming that I am here, I am fine, and don't worry about me. Most of the things medium, at least Lara is doing, are not really so profound or insightful. So what often the communication is that a lot of it is to conform through certain personal details or verifiable details. See, I did this, I did that. So first, know that I am here, I survived. That is the huge part of it. And second part of it is, don't worry about me. Okay. If the spirit thinks that she has done something wrong, it will say sorry. If the living thinks that has done something wrong, the spirit often forgives. So a lot of things, communication between these two worlds is more of love. She thinks finally it is love that matters. And I think there is a lot of truth in it, because from these studies it is clear that we are not carrying our wealth, though most of us are busy making it. But what we are carrying is relationship. So love, affection, hate, those things seem to be remaining, and wealth is not. So a lot of things, it finally is love and relationship is what matters after death. So mostly children say this. And in one event, all the children left and one child is there and one parent is here. And Lara recognized that this child wanted to be the last. And when this parent, disappointed, she was a psychiatrist, wanted to go out, Lara said, please wait, and your child wants to talk to you. And then you are a psychiatrist and you read it in this college. Now your child wants to talk to you. And the child wanted to say sorry for committing suicide. And why did she wait? Why did he wait for long? Because he didn't want to embarrass his mother, that all other parents might know that her child committed suicide. So the communication between the dead and the living is so real. It is like that. And in one case, he was animal lover. An animal lover wanted to see the other side. Animal lover, activist. And Lara saw on this side so many animals. So this should answer your question whether animals survive life. Animals survive life, survive death. All those that have consciousness seem to be surviving. Dogs, cats, squirrels, pigeons, and difficult to believe, bees. All of them appeared to Lara. And then they are trying to convey something. For example, one dog has a chain with S, it seems. And a pigeon is appearing as pigeon on a ship. So they have some specific communication. And the people on this side are in a position to say which pigeon, which dog, and they are in a position to tell the story related to bee, where they got the pigeon, dog, and like that. So, see, till now I was saying that we know some people will survive and we don't know whether any particular individual will survive. But after reading this book, I came to a conclusion that I think all life survives. If bee is surviving, I think it is reasonable to assume that every human being survives. So probably it is part of life to survive after death. It is the very nature of life. So death is simply loss of body for all, from bee to squirrel to dog to elephant and a human being. It is not that some will survive, all surviving. Of course, we can say all are surviving up to some time, if we have to be strictly rational, because mediums are talking with the people who died recently. So they are not talking to some people who lived during Greek times or hundreds or thousands of years ago. So like this body disintegrates into elements and mixes with the earth after the death. Probably the memory and consciousness that survived death may also disintegrate after some time and merge with general field of information. We don't know. Just like body is dissolved and into the earth and it reaches its basic elements, the information also may simply disintegrate and be a part of the total information. We don't know. And when the information or memory disintegrates, and there is nothing like consciousness also. Okay. So we don't know the theory. We have no idea of the theory. We are just making all kinds of guesses. But what we know is that definitely people are surviving, animals are surviving, and they are in a position to communicate. And Laura says they struggle hard to communicate. It is simply normal people are too thick-skinned to receive this communication. So she also has certain things to say regarding how to receive communication from the dead. But that is a different issue. Okay. So if we are surviving death, and if our relationship and memory is a surviving death, it is an important reason why we should lead a more responsible life. Thank you.